Today I'm giving my dining room a mini makeover with easy DIY projects. A big thank you to Cricut for sponsoring this video and supporting this channel. My dining room wasn't much to look at when I moved in 8 years ago. I still love the wall panels and banquette that I made to add some architectural interest to the back wall. I had also complemented this neutral backdrop by painting inexpensive IKEA chairs a really rich blue and upholstering the seats in a fun striped fabric. I've loved these chairs a lot, but after 8 years it was time for a change, starting with reupholstering the seats. This is actually one of the first types of projects that I did when I started DIYing, partly because it's really easy to take off the seats with a drill, and all you really need to remove the old fabric is a multi-tool. Since in my chair the foam and the batting were still good, I didn't even have to replace that, so that made this project even easier. To attach the new fabric to the seat, I did upgrade my staple gun. I used to have a very basic, inexpensive staple gun that I used for years, but it was very tough on my hands, especially when working with thicker fabric. When I switched to this higher-end stapler, I couldn't believe how much of a difference it made and how easier it was to handle and to use. So if you're using one of those really inexpensive basic staplers, I would highly recommend that you upgrade. I don't think you'll regret it. I sure didn't. The corners can be a bit tricky, especially if you're using really thick fabric like I am, but the key is to remove as much excess fabric as possible while still leaving enough to pull on to staple the fabric in place. Since the dining room is off of the kitchen, I took my color inspiration for the new chair color from this Tunisian tile artwork that's hanging in my kitchen. And I decided to go with the golden yellow accent color that you see in it, with an added sparkle of metallic gold paint mixed in. For the metallic gold paint, it took a bit of experimenting to figure out the right ratio of gold to yellow paint, but eventually I got to the right mix and it gave a really nice warm glow to the chairs. To keep going with the gold theme, I covered up the screws with some faux gold gems for some added bling. I just love taking something that I already have like this and reinventing it to look completely different instead of buying new furniture. The cream fabric of the seat covers also complements the warm yellow very nicely. This entire new look goes really well with the grass cloth wall panels. I didn't want to change them, but I did feel like trying something new with the wall sconces. I had designed them to make it easy to change out the shade to create different looks. This particular DIY lamp is actually one of the most replicated EYS-inspired projects out there. It's been so much fun to see all of the ones that people have made with different materials. I'll link the how-to video that inspired all of these projects in the video description below. These new shades are actually even simpler to make than the original ones, using inexpensive flexible chopping mats and this beautiful brushed vinyl in a rich copper hue. I purchased the SVG file for this design on Etsy and then uploaded it into the Cricut design space. I also created 2 rectangles using the shape function and customized the dimension by unlocking the shape and inputting the dimensions to make them the width of the design and also 1.3 inches high. By selecting all the layers and attaching them together, it allows me to cut all of these pieces in one go. With this done, the design is ready to cut, so I clicked on the green Make It button. I did get this warning about the size of my image, but I don't need to really worry about that because I'm using a long mat and I have enough material to make this work. I clicked on the Continue button and then selected my material. You can see that there's a lot to choose from, which is one of the things that I love about this machine. It's so versatile and allows you to do so many different types of projects using over 300 materials. For this project, I used a textured metallic premium vinyl material setting. The fine point blade was already in the machines, so all I had to do was attach the vinyl to a 24-inch long standard grip mat, load it into the machine, and press go to let the machine do its thing. I love watching it work, and I have to say that since getting this Cricut machine, I've come up with all kinds of different ideas for projects that I, in the past, would not really have thought of because I didn't really have any way of making them. But having this machine at home has really fueled my creativity and expanded my DIYing horizons. Once the design was done being cut, I removed the vinyl from the mat and used the weeding tool to remove all the cutouts from the design. There's something really satisfying about this entire process. With that done, I covered the design with a transfer sheet and I made sure that it was well adhered to the vinyl everywhere. I removed the design from the backing and then I placed it on the white flexible chopping mat, again pressing down everywhere before removing the transfer sheet. I cut off the excess material around all the sides and then I secured the corner guards to each end. To do that, I used the vinyl rectangles that I had cut to cover one side of the corner guard, but leaving enough overhang to attach to the edge of the shade. The last thing I needed to do was use the base of the wall sconces to mark and drill the holes that will be used to attach the shade with long stem brads. The chopping mat is rigid enough to keep its shape when it's bent, so I didn't need to reinforce it with anything. And that's it! I love how I was able to reuse the wall sconce base and how easy it was to make the new lampshades with my Cricut Maker machine. You would never guess looking at them that they are DIY. They give off a warm, bright glow, and the organic pattern of the overlay really complements the wall panels and my DIY driftwood art nicely. This mini makeover was just the right amount of change that I needed, and I love that I was able to reuse what I already had. Well, I hope you've enjoyed this video, and if you're looking for any information on the things that I've mentioned, I'll be putting all of that in the video description below. And if you're looking to see what I'm up to day to day, join me on Patreon and follow me on Instagram. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you next time.